Your host, Cash Money Morgan. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you've noticed that I'm sitting on my couch and not at my desk. It's almost Christmas. I want the vibe of this episode to be like I invited you over for cookies and a little Christmas drink, and we're just vibing, we're catching up, we're laughing on the couch, ha ha ha, we're having so much fun. That's the vibe of this episode, because what I'm about to tell you in this episode is gonna blow your mind, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is actually crazy, because it is. So first and foremost, I missed you guys. I missed the podcast. We took a quote unquote mental health break. I really did need one. I really did. However, I did have a guest lined up and it just kind of fell through. It happens. Life happens. You got to roll with the punches. And this was just one of those situations where it worked out because it was nice to be able to kind of just relax for a week. However, I missed the pod. Like being back here, being back behind the mic is just... This feels so good. It feels so right. It's so good to be here. Absolutely. The vibe I'm out for, I'm not like a huge Christmas girly. I'm really a 4th of July queen, but I'm kind of just embracing the moment. My outfit is giving Christmas. The glasses are giving Snoop Dogg. I love Snoop Dogg. I don't know. So this is kind of my vibe right now, but I figured that we might as well get into it. Let's just get right into it. I did listen to my last solo pod earlier today, and it was just kind of nice to reflect on like, oh my gosh, that was September, and the amount that has changed since September in my life is astronomical. Like it is so unreal to me, but I'm here for it. I'm absolutely excited about it, and I'm ready to just get into it. So let's do it. So I actually made 2 different highlights kind of over October and November just a little bit, because it was literally insane. Like I can't even express. So let's just start out with October. Some cool. October, I went to a bunch of networking events. Shout out to my queen, Callie Carroll. She's just been super amazing and helping me get plugged in with the community. I'm about it. I'm into it. It's my vibe. I was just living my life in October, right? I mean, just hanging out, doing whatever. And then one of my really good friends, shout out my girl, Gabby Fields, she hit me up and we were just chopping it up. We're talking about living situation next year. As some of you may or may not know, Springfield has a pretty low cost of living compared to the rest of the country. However, with inflation and everything, rent is going up everywhere. So I was just telling her like, oh, there's been so many complications with this apartment. I'm ready to probably move into a bigger space next year. It would be so cool to move into a loft. So immediately my queen gets on her phone and she's like, oh my gosh, I saw this opening for a loft. It's gorgeous. If you don't know, lofts in Springfield are up for like 5 minutes. Everyone wants them. They're industrial buildings. They're a lot of room. The rent is usually lower than apartments sometimes. Like the lofts here are just very sought after. And so literally the most gorgeous loft, like right in the heart of downtown, 800 square feet. The rent is good. Like, I mean, it is just my dream loft. And I was freaking out about it a little bit because I'm like, this is what I said I wanted to live since freshman year of college. And so right away, she's like, dude, you got to apply. You got to do all these things. So right away, I just applied for the application. I paid the application fee. Like, this is just bing, bang, boom. It's happening. It's going on. I don't really know what's going on. I'm just kind of doing it. And, 2 days later, the guy is messaging me. He's like, hey, come get a tour. Move-in is this coming January. He's like, move-in is this January. You're ready to go. Can you come check it out? And I'm like, okay, sure. That's cool. All right. So I go, and at the time I was having honestly a really rocky week. Some stuff was going on in my personal life. Stuff was going on at work. I was just, I also wasn't feeling well. So, when every single emotion is just high, like you really shouldn't make decisions at that moment. But that's like when I love to make the most expensive decisions for some reason. But let's just get into it. So I go on this little loft tour, and it was just a match made in heaven. Like, it's gorgeous. The property manager, he's such a like dog. Like, he's so cool, super chill. He's like, yeah, if you like it, you can have it. Like, just let me know. And I'm like, okay, well, this is amazing. And I'll let you know as soon as possible. And so I just went over to my favorite little spot. I'm talking to one of my queens. Shout out to my girl, Hannah. And we're just talking about life. We're just chopping it up. And I'm telling her what I'm going through. I'm telling her all the complications I've had in this current apartment. I know when you see it on the podcast videos or in my pictures, you're like, oh, no, she's cute. Like, she's kind of cute. You don't know the things that have gone behind the scenes. Like, if you listen to my one solo pod about just like being patient and being content and like the complications with the apartment, and I wanted to have, I wanted to wait on doing anything about it, really, it all kind of comes into play in this episode. And I think for me, I just kind of reached a level with like, there's so many repairs needed. There were so many inspections and things that didn't happen. There's no communication, like all of these things that I finally am just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm paying a fat amount of money to literally not be treated with like basic rights. Like, this is a breach of contract. So I'm sitting with my girl Anna. I'm like emotionally not well, mentally not well, drained. And I'm talking with her and she's like, dude, this is a no-brainer. Like, if you don't sign this lease, I'm signing it. She basically was like, you have to live here. Like, why is this even a question? And I was like, you're right. So literally in that moment, like in 2 hours after I went on the tour, I texted the guy and I was like, yeah, I'm taking it. He's like, cool, I'll send the lease over. Boom. So I'm sitting here with my girl Hannah, my favorite spot. And I'm just thinking to myself, how the heck am I going to get out of my current lease? Like, wah, 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 wah. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh, no. Because you know how it goes. You can't break leases. I mean, you can sublease. Like, you can pay $4 trillion, but you can't just break a lease. So now, like, I'm like so excited about the loft. I go to work. I'm like, you guys, check it out. This is where I'm moving. I'm so stoked. I'm moving into this dope loft. And then all my coworkers are like, so how are you going to get out of the lease? I'm like, oh my gosh, that is such a great question. But this whole decision process for me was different. Like, this wasn't me just going to Coach and swiping my card and buying a new pair of shoes. Like, this is a place that I felt like it had favor around it. I was like, this is my favorite dream loft. It's available in January. This is the place that I've been dreaming about for forever. It just kind of made sense to me. And the fact that it was so smooth and easy and I was like the first choice. Oh my gosh. But the fact that happened so smoothly was just kind of, I don't know, I just felt peace about it in my spirit. And I'm like, obviously it's going to be an uphill battle getting out of this lease, but it's going to be so worth it to live in a place where I don't have to just move around. Like, this is probably where I'll stay as long as I'm in Springfield, period. And so, I signed this lease, whatever. A few days later, my anxiety starts creeping in for sure, trying to figure it out. But also I know, I'm like, if this is what God has for me, He's going to make the way. He's going to provide the way. It's going to be okay. Like, I wasn't really super duper nervous about it, but also I was kind of stressed. And so my CEO comes into town and he's my favorite. Like, he's the best CEO in the whole entire world. So he comes into town and we all go to dinner and I start telling him, like, I'm like, hey, look, I'm like, it's supposed to be like a New York girly. This is the loft in Springfield. I just signed the lease and now I got to get out of my lease. And I'm telling him all the bad things that have happened in this apartment, all the things that are still not fixed, all the things that I tried to do. And he looks me in the eyes and he was like, you should probably call a lawyer. Like, that seems like that's the only way you're going to get out of this situation. He's like, it's too late for some of this stuff. You should probably get some legal help. And I said, okay. And so one of the benefits of being like a crazy networking girly is that you got a lawyer friend. I got a doctor friend. I got a masseuse friend. Like, you got those friends on retainer. Like, you send that you up text. Hey, I need legal help. Like, that's like literally what happened. I was like, SOS, hope your Thanksgiving was fire. Also, can you help me out with this legal situation? So I actually am super blessed that I actually do have a lawyer friend. So I just kind of reached out and told him the whole situation. This dude was literally sent to me by God, because within a week, like, we collected as many photos as I had, videos, police report evidence, like all these different situations that occurred. We gathered, like, we put in work orders, we did everything. And then he presented this fat letter to my leasing manager. And I mean, I really do. Like, I have a good relationship with the apartment that I am leaving with. We ended on really great terms, which I'm also really, really grateful about. But it kind of took that like nudge to get there, because I was calling and ain't nobody was answering. So it's just, I'm like, okay, look, like, let's be straight up 100 here. And so this was the most beautiful letter I've ever seen in my life. You know, he was just saying how I'm a person of character and how he trusts me and the contract and all of this. And they have X amount of days to get their crap together and fix stuff, or he's representing me. You guys, I'm framing this letter in my new loft. Like, are you kidding? No, this is like going right above the mantle, period. So right away, when you send, a letter from a lawyer, it just scares people like out of their mind. And they're calling me from the same number they've been ghosting me from. And we ended up talking. They came and made all the repairs to my apartment, which was super great. And I'm like, shoot, well, I still need to get out of this lease. And my lawyer was like, it's okay, have patience, just have a conversation with him, whatever. And so I ended up having a conversation with the owner. I was praying about it a ton, super anxious, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, like throwing up like a little bit, just a little bit, but just very nervous about it. But I also knew, like, which my dad makes a fair point. He's like, Morgan, I co-signed on your apartment. This was a really rash decision. I don't know if this was best. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, but we're trusting God that he will see through this. And I know some people are like, girl, you are crazy. Like, but this wasn't just, like I said, this wasn't just some decision. Like, I had such a feeling and like a drawing to it. And I'm just like, I just felt that this was presented to me in such a way that was so smooth that I knew that God would take care of the situation, that he would take care of it. And so the owner and I ended up talking, and I kind of ended up just kind of breaking down to him and telling him about my experience and how hard this has been. And we ended up coming to an agreement where he really was amazing and we made it a 6-month contract, and I am out of the lease. I don't have to pay anything extra. I just have to move out a few weeks early, and then that is that. And I remember, like, literally that moment was so crazy for me, because 2 weeks before, I'm just living in my apartment and I'm like, oh my gosh, this sucks. Like, this place is kind of crusty, whatever. And now within a matter of like a few days, God moved and I got my dream loft and I'm out of this other apartment with no hiccups. And my lawyer friend didn't charge me at all. And so I think so many times we look at life and we think, like, where is God? Where is he moving? I'm tithing. I'm going to church. I'm going through things. Where is God? There is God. There. Like, I've been really focused on having faith and trusting God. And as a Christian, kind of seeing, like, okay, we always say, have faith, trust God, trust God. But what does that actually look like? And I've been having conversations with my friends, and it's actually terrifying. Like, I feel like if you're not terrified as a Christian, are you actually trusting in God? Because it's completely like giving him full control over your life. And I know some people can make the argument, we're like, oh, well, what about you can't just do everything, this and this. I think there's like spirit-led decisions. And I think there's some things where we really kind of just go in the direction that God is leading us in. I don't think any of those things were accidental. And it was pretty crazy. And I'm always like, Morgan, that was super fast. That was super rash and whatever. But I had complete faith and knew that God was going to take care of it. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I know God's going to provide, when I finished college, like the best job for me, the best college for me, like the best man for me. And so it's just one of those things where it was so crazy and nobody could believe it. They're like, your lawyer didn't charge you anything. You got out of the lease. Like, that's all unheard of, especially for this apartment. Like, I can't believe it. And I'm just like, yeah, it's just another Tuesday. I'm just kidding. Because seriously, that situation, I had to completely be vulnerable and say, you know what? I have no idea how this is going to go, God. Like, this, I need you to do this. Like, if this is what you want, you make the way, and I'm trusting in you. And so I think, trusted faith is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. But that's what makes it real, is that you're actually surrendering all control to God. So that was kind of crazy for October. I'm not going to lie. No, that was probably the most wild part of October. It was as awesome as all of those decisions were. It was a tough month. Like I said, I did have kind of a mental breakdown. I took a few days off work, just recalibrated. You go through things. It just happens. I felt like every sort of place in my life was kind of in fire at the time, but I ended up settling down as things do. You just have, bad days, not a bad life. And that was kind of that. I also met my neighbor in October. I know we've talked about Jack on the pod. What up, Jack, if you're listening? So it was so funny. We had some Taylor Swift type "You Belong With Me" thing. One day I just decided to like put hi on the window, and then he responded howdy. And then one of my friends was over and both our windows were open, and we ended up just kind of all talking and hanging out a little bit. And now we're friends. Like now if I come home and do something crazy, I'll like open the window. I'm like, yo, Jack, you're never gonna guess what happened to me in the parking lot. I almost got sex trafficked. No, for real though. That was me like last week. You don't want to know the story, but I'm just saying, Springfield, you got to be safe out here in these streets. Stranger danger. I don't care how cute a woman is or whatever. If she asks you to go to your apartment, say no. Like, yeah, I'm fine. It's cool. It's not a big deal, but it's just another day in the life. But I did come home and I opened my window and Jack and I laughed about it for like 30 minutes. And so that was cool. He was the only thing the only good thing that came out of this apartment. But yeah, for sure. So that was October, which was so nuts. So I am moving. So life is so crazy right now. There's just so much going on. So much going on. Before I even get into that, let's just hop in the November highlights. So that's October. And I know you're listening. You're like, oh my gosh, Morgan, I actually don't really care about your life that much. I understand. But my life is kind of crazy right now. So just listen for this. Okay. We'll get to some good stuff, but like, just listen right now. Okay. So November was really good. Honestly, I feel like I blinked and it was over. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. Like I still feel like it should be Thanksgiving break. I don't understand how everything is so fast. I thought it was fast in college. It is so much more fast like when you're full-time corporate. It's just insane. So November, I played in my first ping pong tournament. Yeah, that was a vibe. I came second to last, but I was the only girl. And there's definitely things I have to work on when it comes to ping pong, things that I'm still learning. But it's just important to keep on practicing and also putting yourself out there. This past weekend, I played ping pong in a rec center with a bunch of old dudes, but honestly, it was so fun. There was another girl there. She was a queen, but I do like feel like I'm getting a lot better, and it's so like good for me and my aggression. I just love being able to like smack the crap out of a ping pong ball. I don't know, it's just fun for me. But I'm super sore, and it's like super dorky. Like, oh, I played 2 hours of ping pong on Sunday. Yeah, but I mean, it's like what I love to do, and you gotta do you. So yeah. So Thanksgiving break happened. I stayed in Springfield, got to hang out with my queen Haley and her family. They're amazing. I fell in love with them. Like, I don't know if you can have a like soulmate as a family. I mean, I love my family too, for sure. I was sad I couldn't be with them, but that family was so fun. And then we went to a roast battle. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like my life could be a chaotic TV series just because it's always constantly going, and I just want to be like, relax, take 5, But I went to a roast battle and it was so funny. All those dudes were definitely living with their parents' basement and probably on drugs, but they were pretty funny. I'm a kind of a sucker for comedy. And so whenever there's a chance to, pay a cheap amount and get to watch people make fun of each other, I'm kind of all for it. So that was a cool time. Yeah. So something kind of interesting happened this November. I almost became a certified lover girl. When I was listening to the last podcast episode, I was saying all kinds of things. The one with the last solo pod, I was like, I want a man who pursues me, all these things, blah, blah, blah. Like everything I was saying in that last episode, that last solo pod, like I got. Like I've been spending time with this guy and he's honestly so amazing. Like he's so great, doing everything that I've asked. And I actually really like hanging out with him. Like I really enjoy his company. And as I was opening myself up, because I feel like I do have walls and I do have some things, and I don't just trust everybody and their mom. I could see myself really getting close to this guy. And as we're getting to know each other, and let me preface by saying, like, he has treated me better than any man ever has, and it blows my mind, and I'm in awe. And I just, as we were spending time together, the more I kind of self-reflected on like what I'm wanting out of life and where I'm at currently and what kind of like my 3-year plan looks like. And I think it's so hard. I get on this podcast and I talk about being single, and then this guy doesn't want me to be single anymore, and then I want to be single. I want to be selfish with my time. And it kind of sucks because, I think this awesome dude is ready to settle down and really invest in someone. And I just kind of became into an era where I'm definitely grinding in my 20s. I recently got like a second job, and I'm serving a few days a week to make extra money. With the podcast, I'm currently planning our company Christmas party and my podcast party. I'm trying to save for a number of things. It's just like crazy. And I value relationships so much, and I want to be super present when I'm with people. I don't want to seem like my brain is 5 million other places. I want to be present with you. I want to be in our conversation. And to me, being the role of a girlfriend is very important. And I want to really be able to fully invest in you, care about you, put my dude, like, really just do things for him and spend quality time with him. And right now in life, I don't feel like I have that to offer. I'm really focused on my career, where I want to go, my podcast, myself, all the things. And so it's completely difficult. And also just having that freedom of, okay, you're healed, you're feeling good. Like, I don't think I'm ready to just settle down in a year and be married and have a kid. Like, I want to be able to still be free to go anywhere and do whatever. That sounds so bad, but so that was super hard, being able to have to communicate something like that to someone who does see your value and does see your worth and want to spend time with you. I've learned so much in this kind of like not super long amount of time, but I've just gotten this faith in men that I think was gone for a while, and realizing like, oh, there really are guys out there that will treat you like the queen that you are and give you the world and respect you and give you like kindness and all the things that we think as women sometimes are too much to ask for. Like, no, it really does exist, and it really is important to be extremely picky. So it is hard. Like, it breaks my heart in a sense to be able to tell someone who wants to give me so many things like, hey, I can't progress. But also it's almost like saying, what would you want, Morgan? Well, this is so good for now, but I don't know for later, which is technically a situationship. And being on the side of the person who doesn't want to be in a relationship right now, I could be selfish and I could be like, oh, let's just hang out and do whatever I want anyways, and we'll deal with the repercussions later. And I don't want to be that person. It's giving me a whole new perspective on the situationship kind of idea, and realizing really how selfish it is to hurt someone like that. And even though like I enjoy spending time with this person and I would love to continue doing it, I have to really consider their feelings and, potential heartbreak and all that stuff. So I don't know if that's what you were expecting, but that's what it is. I always feel like it's like this like law of attraction. When you're not looking for anything, that's when everything always comes to you. And, kind of communicating all of that to him, I'm really just like, I'm not looking for anything with anyone right now. I'm too busy. I can barely get a decent amount of sleep, like barely have time to wash my hair. And then it's just people are constantly trying to like now hang out with you or be in your DMs and this and this. And public service announcement, Morgan wants to be left alone, period. No, but it is just a really interesting time, your 20s. People are having kids, people are getting married, and that's awesome. And then some people are traveling and they're seeing the world and they're in their bag and they're doing whatever, which is also awesome. It's just kind of navigating and asking yourself, what do you want? What makes you the happiest and how can you get there? We all have the same amount of time in a day, and it's just kind of hard to do that. And I think I have so many amazing mentors and connections and people of all different age demographics. And something I really learned a lot is a lot of people are like, oh, well, I wish I would have traveled or been, single more or seen the world or taken the opportunities to be selfish. And I think sometimes I see people struggle in their marriages or their families because they didn't take that time to enjoy themselves or get to know their partner on a deep level, or they rushed into something. And I don't know, it was really encouraging for me to meet someone so awesome. I feel like I did learn so much, and it was cool to be able to kind of let my walls down and let somebody in. But also it's just kind of that thing where I know where I want to go and I know what I want to achieve, and I just can't let anything stop that. And I don't know what that says about me. Maybe I protected my peace way too long, but I'm so excited for the future. And even though I'm crazy busy and some days are harder than others, I can sit back on my little couch right here and I can truly say that I am very happy with life right now. I'm very excited for tomorrow and the days that are ahead. And, with God, with trusting God in everything, we've talked about like the craziness and the miracle of the pod party and the prices and all of that. We've talked about like this loft situation. My last episode, I was like, I'm just going to trust God in relationships. I did. And I met someone great. But now I'm trusting God just to guide me in life, and for me to realize, oh my gosh, like I actually don't want to settle down. Because what's the point of a relationship? To build a life with someone and to kind of settle down with that person. And so if I'm not ready to really just invest and settle down and build that with someone, I need to communicate and be honest and not try to pretend and do all these things. I don't want to hurt anyone. And so, yeah, being able to like self-reflect and acknowledge where you are is so important. And it's so crazy. I feel like it's such a different place. But the title of this podcast is to trust the process, because I feel like that's something that I don't ever know what I'm doing, but I'm always going to trust the process and trust that God knows what's best. And so many times in the life of like, I'm not growing, but it's really a slow, gradual growth sometimes. Like sometimes you have to go through A, B, and C to get to E, F, G, and then all the way down and all these places. Like there's so many little stepping stones we have to take sometimes to get to where we really want to be or aspire, and realize that God does put desires, certain things that we want on our hearts, and to really listen to that and listen to those nudgings and those pushes and all of that. So it's been an amazing time. I have awesome friends in my corner, good advice. I do wish, as awesome as all these crazy rash decisions are, I kind of wish that I would chill out. Like, Morgan, stop. I cannot take one more quick, fast, rash decision. Like, I have to move out and I suck at moving out. It's been crazy. It's been pretty wild. But something I've also been doing too is listening to answered prayer. Let me give you an example. So, whether it be guys or something, before I was really hanging out with this dude, I was talking to a couple of different dudes and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to hang out with this guy or something, blah, 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 blah. And, sometimes I would pray like, okay, God, if this isn't for me, take it away. And then be like the next day, the guy is like putting in no effort, barely talking to me. If I don't send him something, he was just gone. And I'm like, okay, is that not an answered prayer? Like, this dude's out. This dude's peace. Like, accept it. And so I think, something that I struggle with just on my own as a overthinker, as a nostalgic person, as someone who feels everything so deeply, I struggle with letting things go. But as 2023 is approaching, and I know I've talked so much stuff about my past and all the things in life, I'm letting everything go. I'm letting it all go. And there's so many things that God is doing and moving, and I see my own potential, and I see the potential for the podcast and other people and speaking life and taking those intentional moments that I don't want anything from my past, like things in the past happened. Certain things are the way that they are because of that, but you don't have to take in hurt, pain, all those things into your future. I don't have time. And I also am just in a position where it's like, we have to let that go. It's got to be gone. And it's very hard for me to let things go. But it's something that I'm like working that muscle. And I'm like, there's just no space in my brain or my heart for any of that kind of hurt or pain from the past. And it's got to be gone. So that's something that I'm kind of struggling with. And that's just kind of life. I think, as Christians, we do talk about that full faith. We talk about that true trust in God. And so many times we say we do. There could be super strong Christians that don't believe in miracles or the true process of trusting God and being vulnerable and having that fear. But it's so worth it. It's so there. And it's something that God's been doing in my life. And it just takes that step of, giving God your time, your money, your heart, all of those things, everything going on. And so October and November have both been crazy months, but I look around and it's so wild. I'm so blessed in so many different capacities and things. I did recently get my podcast party dress. Guys, it's so extra. I decided to make it black tie because I don't really get invited to a lot of galas and stuff. And so, or like red carpets. So I figured I would just make my own. I don't really know how everything's going down. Like when I look at financials and everything for the next couple of months, this is where I'm really trusting God because I have no idea. I don't. I'm trying to be frugal. I might not even get my nails done for the next couple months. I know Dean's going to kill me. But I don't know. I really want to do everything excellent. And I want to, I want to have the merch and all of those things. And I want to do the podcast party and this vision I have. And, I understand you can't always have everything that you dream and want, but I'm going to try. And, hard work and success, a lot of it is when I'm working these like 2 jobs now and all these things, I'm like, yeah, the grind is on. Your 20s are for doing whatever you want and grinding and working hard and all of the things. And so it's definitely been a time and just really having a deep appreciation for young entrepreneurs and people who are really in their bag and people who are really on that grind. And I think it's important to just career-wise, everything. People always ask, well, what's your long-term goal? What are your dreams? What do you want to know? And I'm just trusting the process as anyone else should. It is a process, and to just kind of take things day by day and put your mental health really high on your list of priorities. Those mental health breaks, those moments of clarity, having good people around you, all of those things are really, really important. And I'm very grateful for how far I've come and the things that God has done in my life. And oh my gosh, yeah. So, well, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been by my side and been in my corner and has been an amazing part of this experience. As Christmas is approaching, it's a time to really think about other people. It's a time to really think about how we can help others and invest in others. And to also just check in on your happy friends and everything. It's just important. It's important to be in people's circle. It's important to be a friend that they can lean on. And as I encourage you in this new year, everyone's going through different things and different battles. Reflecting on where you came from is so important to me because, I look at literally September to December. What the heck happened? Like, it's just craziness. But like I said, walking into 2023, I'm just completely trying to let everything go. I don't recognize that version of Morgan in the couple years ago. And so I don't want to recognize the pain that came with her either. I just want to let all that stuff go. And it's a whole new persona. You know, I'm living in a different place, doing different jobs and having different dreams and just taking everything day by day and having so much fun with life. And I don't know where you're at in your life, what you're struggling with, what you have to trust in your process. Maybe it's your relationship, you know, maybe it's family struggles, maybe it's career struggles. I don't know. Maybe it's just personal stuff that you got to work on. I don't know what you're carrying into 2023, but I encourage you to make the most out of life, have so much fun, and seriously be self-aware. I've talked about how awesome the friends I have are and how we're all really like psychology focused. And they're the first ones to tell me like, Morgan, you shouldn't hurt this person. Like you need to be honest with yourself and have a conversation, or you've just told me that this is what you want. So make sure you do this. And being able to be really self-aware about what you want out of life, asking yourself that, like being honest with yourself is actually easier for you to be honest with other people and put other people first. And it's definitely been a trying time. Like I've talked about in the past, I'm such a physical touch girly, but it's definitely been a time of self-control for me and realizing like, Morgan, it is better to have self-control than to go out and hurt someone else by taking advantage of their feelings or the pain that they may feel in the future. And sometimes I feel like I'm in my 20s and maybe I'm not, you know, taking advantage of all the things that life has to offer. But for example, I was at my second job and I'm serving a few days a week, and I had this table. I'm fresh and new. Like I'm on day 3 of training and they were like, go. So I'm out here and the chick is like, what's on the snapper? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, let's Google it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a way better server than that. But for real, I didn't really know much on the menu. I'm still really learning. But towards the end of our conversation, we were talking about nutrition and diet and stomach issues, as women do. And we started talking about, you know, I told him, I was like, I'm so sorry that I kind of sucked tonight. I was like, this is my second job and I'm new. Start talking about where I work and the loft and the podcast party and everything. This woman, you know, she's deep in her career and she's like, how old are you? I said, I'm 23. She was like, that's insane. She was like, thank you for being a role model for people. She's like, she's like, that's crazy. And I sat there and I was like, well, thank you so much for saying that. Like, that's very encouraging to me because I'm just trying to make it like day by day, honestly. Literally for this podcast episode, I got home from work, slept for 2 hours, washed my hair, and I was like, we have to do this. I don't have time any other time this week to record. And it's just, success looks different for different people. It does. Some people being successful is waking up in the day, you know, taking a shower and doing something they love. And for them, that's a lot, and that's okay because that's where they're at. And other people, it's grinding and doing all these things and working out and blah blah blah. And it's important to understand that what you think is successful is not necessarily what someone else thinks is successful. And different people have different passions, and it's important that we acknowledge that we're different, and that's awesome that we are different. Having everyone the same would just be absolutely boring, and that's not it. And so I don't know, being able to have that woman kind of speak life into me and remind me, you know, not everyone's doing this. You know, your hard work doesn't go unseen. You're pursuing your passions and you're strong in that, and you should fight for that. So I don't know if you're nervous about starting something in your life, you have a dream or an idea, or you need to be encouraged. Well, this is your sign that as Christmas is coming and 2023 is coming, I'm telling you to go pursue the things you want to go pursue. Take that leap of faith. I can't tell you some of the ideas that I have planned for the future. It's really, really hush hush. But me and a few of my friends have been talking, and we've just been talking about some ideas, getting some advice, all this stuff. And people have come up to me and they've people I've been confiding in, and they've been saying like, some of these ideas are pretty crazy. And they're like, but I'm so jealous that you're taking the opportunity to do this. especially with, you know, the loft and the podcast party and doing all these crazy things. One of my mentors told me, she said basically, if it scares you a little bit, you should take the leap, because it's typically a challenge and they typically pay off. So I don't know what you're feeling in your life. Maybe there's an adventure you want to go on. There's a new venture you want to do. You want to start a clothing company. You want to get out of a relationship. I don't know. But if it scares you a little bit, but like in a cool, tingly, exciting way, you know, when you like get out of a hot tub and you want to go like jump in the snow, that cool little tingly feeling, maybe it's just like a Wisconsin thing, do it. This is your sign to do it. Because when else are you going to do it? I don't know. I think I've listened to so many podcasts and things in my life, and I just want to experience so much different, you know, culture and opportunities and people and the world. And I don't know. And people always tell me, they're like, Morgan, you're just crazy sometimes. And I say, yeah, I am, because I do not want to be anything regular. I do not want to be basic. I do not want to be your average Joe. But taking the leap of faith is often very scary, but very rewarding. So this has been kind of a chill podcast, you guys. I mean, I'm literally wearing these Christmas pajamas. Fun fact about me, I used to never be a pajama girly. I'm still not. I can't sleep with pants on. I have to have shorts. But growing up, I would literally just like sleep in my street clothes. I feel like I was narcoleptic as a kid. I would like come home, lay down, do my homework, whatever, and I would just fall asleep in my bed. Like I never put on cute pajamas. It definitely turned into a cute little thing for me in college. But I do like being a cute pajama girl now. It's very on brand. But yeah, you guys, honestly, thank you so much for being the best listeners. This has been a really chill podcast. I didn't have a ton prepared. I really just kind of wanted to talk about the life updates and things going on, and kind of just have a space for that, and just kind of, you know, let that sit and talk, you know, yeah. I just kind of wanted to have a space to talk about the things that, you know, God has been doing, and the crazy feelings of anxiety and fear and confusion, and, you know, even with the relationships, and being honest and in letting myself feel, but also being honest about where I'm at. So you guys are amazing. I can't wait to see everything that's going to happen. There's so many cool things going on. But yeah, if you do want to start your own podcast, you know what to do. Go to the bottom of this episode, click my affiliate link, and you will get a $20 gift card to Amazon to start your own podcast. Also, there is still merch available if you wanted anything, Christmas presents for significant others, friends, or family. You can go to keepingupwithcash.com, or honestly, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I just hope everyone has an amazing, safe holidays, and keep on keeping up with cash. Bye. Love you.